98.9 ORCFM, the Monkees Daydream Believer. It's Adam Webster playing you the great hits of the 60s, 70s, and now the 80s. And Peter Tork of the Monkees joining us via telephone. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Adam. How you doing?
All right. Looking forward to seeing the show A Midsummer's Night with the Monkees tomorrow night at the City Center in Boston, the Wang Theater.
We are basically going to be reminding you of the great Monkees songbook. I've always thought, and I think I can say this without false pride, that the Monkees songbook is one of the greatest of all time. You know, we were just lucky. Not like I'm patting myself on the back over here. At least I hope. My father used to say, "Don't break your arm," patting yourself on the back. You know, how many top 20 hits did the Monkees have? You know, dozens. And it's really a lot of fun to be fronting for that kind of an operation.
Some amazing writers. I mean, Neil Diamond writing I'm a Believer. You had Pleasant Valley Sunday co-written by Carole King. So some amazing writers of the time writing the music for the Monkees.
That's right. Even Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart, who didn't write much other than for the Monkees, they wrote Last Train to Clarksville and Stepping Stone and Valerie. I mean, these are some fabulous pop tunes that really, they would be great pop tunes if they were done today.
Now, Don Kirshner was a hit machine, but he kind of felt that it was his way or no way at all. So talk about the double-edged sword who was Don Kirshner.
Boy, you really hit the nail on the head there. I don't know that I would have ever used the expression double-edged sword, but I think you might be right with this. Don Kirshner really did have his finger on the pulse of the American pop music audience, and when it came down to the struggle, the wanting to, particularly me, I wanted very much to be the musicians in the band. And if we'd been able to talk it out, I think we would have had a wonderful situation with Donnie picking the music or consulting on the music. I think we were very good record makers ourselves. But you're right, Don thought, it was his way or the highway. And when we said we wanted to do it differently, he took it personally. I regret the way it all fell down now, but yeah, we really owe a great deal of what we are to Don Kirshner.
Talking with Peter Tork of the Monkees. Now, the Monkees TV show only ran 2 seasons, 66 to 68. However, you recorded 58 episodes, which is unheard of by today's standards.
Yes, by today's standards. It was the norm at the time. You put in 26 or 9 episodes in a year's work, and that's just how it was done back then.
And you're linked to these 3 other men for the rest of your life. Of course, the late Davy Jones, and then you're working with Mike and Mickey again on stage, the 3 of you performing. You're linked forever with these strangers that you had to meet up with all these years ago, going on 50 years now.
That's exactly right. We were very wary of each other to begin with, introduce each other. How you guys are the Monkees. How do you do? How do you do? Shake hands and look, and then stand back and look at each other like out of the corner of our eyes. Who are these guys? And we learned how to work together under tutelage. So these guys knew what they were doing, the producers of the show.
How influential and how important were the Beatles to the Monkees?
Absolutely. You know, the Beatles in Hard Day's Night and then the Monkees TV show was really very rare because it was young adults who were on their own. In fact, that was unique on television at the time. Mm-hmm. The whole TV show did model itself after Hard Day's Night. And the Beatles were my heroes. I just absolutely loved what they were doing. I mean, how can you not? They're the greatest pop group of all time, as far as I'm concerned.
Paul McCartney was just at Fenway Park last week. At 71 years old, they say he sounds better than ever.
Well, he's been taking care of himself. Mickey taught him to do vocal warm-ups. He used to just hit the stage without having warmed up. And now, before they hit the stage, Paul McCartney and his band go, "Hey, hey, we're the Monkees. People say we're monkey around."
That's awesome. I believe that, too.
It's true. It's on YouTube. You can see them. Look it up. Paul McCartney sings the Monkees theme song.
Is it true that Bob Dylan tried out for the Monkees?
I had actually never heard that before, and in fact, I so seriously doubt that it was remotely possible.
Right.
When I first hit the Greenwich Village scene, Bob Dylan had already had hits, not as a performer, but as a songwriter. You know, "Blow in the Wind" and "Don't Think Twice." Those were already songs that I had heard on radio. Peter, Paul, and Mary came to my college and did "Blowin' in the Wind."
And you were friends with Stephen Stills in the Village, talking about the Village days.
Stephen did try out. Stephen came to the Village a little after I did, and a lot of my friends came up to me and said, "There's this new kid in town. He looks just like you." And later on, Steve urged me to try out for the Monkees. And I said, "What about you?" And he said, "Well, they liked me well enough, but they thought my hair and teeth would not photograph well. And did I know anybody who looked like me, who had 1/10 my talent?" And I thought of you, Peter.
And I bet you've been thanking him ever since.
Oh, yeah, he had, he's never forgiven me. He had to settle for Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, and he's just been beaten down, man. He's depressed, terribly depressed.
Peter Tork, the concert, A Midsummer's Night with the Monkees. It's at the Wang Theater tomorrow night. My wife and I are going to be in attendance, and I promised my wife that if she's really, really good, I would let her sit on this interview on hold. So, Michelle, say hi to Peter Tork.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, Michelle. Good talking to you.
Good to talk to you.
But it was good all the same. And I hope you enjoy the show.
I can't wait. This will be very exciting.
See you tomorrow night, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. See you there at the show.